We're ready.
Welcome everyone to the Audit and Risk Advisory Committee meeting today. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? There's none. Resolution, the agenda for the May 5th, 2025 Audit and Risk Advisory Committee meeting be approved. By Councillor Quinte and seconded by Councillor Siddell. Thank you. Resolution, the minutes of the December 16th Audit and Risk Advisory Committee meeting be approved.
So moved.
Moved by Laurie Dennis and seconded by Mary Harrison. Presentations, Jeff Lay, Wilkinson and Company on our audited financial statements.
According to the general principles of,
All that fun stuff.
And then change it.
So thank you for having me here today. Thank you again for appointing Wilkinson and Company as the auditors. This is the 5th year, so I understand there'll be an RFP going out this summer. So this is year 5 of a 5-year proposal that came through. Similar to prior years, the presentation right now before it gets into the financial statements is our audit findings report. It's the additional documentation or communication that we have to have with those charged with governance. It's fairly similar to the audit plan that I presented back a few months ago, but it basically, in summary, as auditors, we are required to be independent. As I mentioned before, nothing has come up that we're aware of that would preclude us from doing this audit, either in perception or factual issues. If there is anything, again, I would ask that it be either mentioned to Caleb, to Matt, to Victoria, to pass on to us. It could be directly to our firm. If there is anything that you are concerned about, I would ask that you please present it to us or communicate it to us. In all the years that we've done the audit, I'm not aware of there being anything, but if there ever is, please, we'd rather deal with it ahead of time than find out after the fact there was something that we could have prevented. This was a risk-based audit, which requires us to do planning based on what's in your accounting, what's in your financial statements, develop testing procedures based on areas that are identified as being riskier than others. In the initial planning that was done, we had materiality at $750,000 based on the initial information. When we got the final financial information, you've grown a lot in the last fiscal year. So the materiality number was increased from 750 up to 950. There's industry benchmarks, percentages of net assets, percentages of revenue. So based on those, that number did go up a little bit. At the end of the day, it doesn't impact the audit because we didn't have very many items that were not adjusted. So what that materiality number is, it's the dollar amount of unadjusted item that we could have in the statements and still issue without the statements being considered incorrect or materially misstated. I think there might be $150,000 on the summary of unadjusted differences, so entries that just weren't recorded, and it was a cutoff of revenue. So not even close to either the $750,000 or the $950,000. These are your financial statements. They're prepared by management. Our job is to come in, perform the audit, do the testing, and provide an opinion on those financial statements. Similar to prior years, it's what's called a clean opinion. There are no items or nothing that would preclude us from issuing a clean opinion that the financial statements as presented are free of material misstatement. During the testing, if there was anything that came up, we're required to communicate it to you in terms of if there was issues or discrepancies, errors in terms of completeness, accuracy, revenue recognition. If there was any issues of management override that came up, it would have been presented to council or to management letter. There wasn't anything of that nature in the audit. We didn't come across any significant deficiencies in internal control. Again, if we came across something, there'd be a management letter on recommendations to improve your internal controls. We didn't have any of those. We didn't come across any significant unusual transactions, and we didn't identify any fraud or illegal acts that would impact the financial statements. Again, if we come across those, we are required to communicate them with you so that everyone is aware of some of the errors or issues that could be in the financial statements. As part of the audit findings report, we're also required to communicate upcoming accounting changes. This won't impact your current year that we're in, the 2025 year. There is a new set of standards coming out for year ends beginning April 1st, 2026. It'll basically change the format of the financial statements. They're reordering some of the statements. The intent is to make it easier for people to understand and read. Municipal statements aren't the easiest to follow sometimes, so they're adding a couple new statements, changing the format. But again, that's not your current fiscal year. It'll be the next year. So basically 2 years from now, your financial statements will look a little bit different than they do. Yeah. If there are any questions specifically on the statements that were handed out, I'd ask that they be deferred to Caleb. Any answer that I would have in terms of the numbers would just be me regurgitating an answer or testing that we got from talking to your staff, who were very helpful to us again in doing the audit. The municipality is growing quite a bit, so we're asking more questions. There is more work, more data in there that they are dealing with. So we kind of pushed the deadlines this year, kind of tight to get you the statements the week ahead of time, but everything was completed. The audit was finished with no issues. And that was it, unless there was any questions.
Thanks for your presentation. Should we save the questions till the approval of financial statements, or should we ask the questions now? Director Denhausen, what's your opinion?
I'd say suggest any questions to our auditor would be now, but any questions for us, Matt and myself, on the actual statements around something we would know, let's save that till later if that works.
Okay, great. Is there any questions of Mr. Lay? Councillor Quinte.
Thanks. So you have mentioned twice in your presentation about the city's growing a lot. So we're not actually physically growing, like we're not expanding our boundaries. So just to clarify for the public, what exactly are you specifying that we are growing a lot?
If you looked on page 4, the tangible capital assets went from $427 million to $445 million, so a fairly significant growth in assets. And the prior year as well, I believe it was fairly similar growth in terms of assets that you have. So there's been a lot invested in capital assets.
Perfect, thanks.
Yes, Councillor Sidhu, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question to that. So if it's growing in capital assets, is that because we've counted new assets or we've invested in new assets? Because I know with the asset management plan, we may have identified additional assets in that. There's been a change with some of it.
I'm not aware of significant new ones being added that weren't already capitalized.
What about developer contributions of about $10 million that we're showing as revenue? Would that not be in addition to that?
Well, sorry, what the original question, what I meant was, way back 10, 15 years ago when capital assets weren't on the statements and then they had to be added, there was a almost 10-year period where it seemed like every year there were more capital assets being found that had not been identified, roads that hadn't been counted. Just the increases aren't of that nature, where there are items that existed previously that were not added. I mean, there may have been some small ones, but that's not what I understand to be the kind of the main reason for the increase. It's new capital assets. There was $10 million of additional development charges in revenue in the year. Compared to last year, I believe it was $6 million up to $16 million in development charges. But in terms of the actual capital assets themselves, there has been in the last few years a fairly significant amount of new, whether it's a water treatment plant, whether it's just roads being redone that were old, just capital assets in general. There's been a fairly significant increase.
Did you want to answer that?
Through your chair, yes, that's pretty much it. Well, like you said, a lot of it is developer contribution. So whenever we assume a subdivision, whenever a subdivision is complete, it's up to our standards. The city assumes the subdivision. So when we assume it, we carry all those costs that the developer put in to build that infrastructure and the roads, water, sewer, everything, and then the city assumes those costs as net new assets. So that does increase our capital asset.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is staff report from Melanie Masseur, Manager of Purchasing and Risk Management regarding insurance pools and excess liability to be received.
Through you, Chair, thank you. Yes, just based on our discussion that came up at our previous meeting in December, we just wanted to follow up with these two topics with some additional information, discussing a little bit about the insurance pools that are in existence in the province right now, a little bit about how they function, and as well there's the topic of excess liability coverage and how did that work specifically for City of Quinte West. So those two topics are addressed in that report.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this report? Councillor Siddell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not so much questions, but I just wanted to appreciate the thoroughness of the investment or investigation of the pools. I have worked in one of these pools before and found them great, but I do understand that it does take, a number of different partners for us to get involved with. But I do think if there is ever any appetite, if we can somehow share the word and see if we can find it, I think it would be well worth our while, and there is savings in it. But thank you very much for a thorough report.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Quinte?
Yeah, thanks. In regards to insurance pools, there were some great examples given in here, but they are not our next door neighbors. And if Quinte West was going to consider going to an insurance pool idea, I would prefer that we would be discussing it with our next door neighbors. Not that I have anything bad to say about these other regions, but we don't drive there, we don't travel there, we don't hear what they're up to each and every day, and wouldn't be able to keep on top of how they're operating their municipalities or their growth or their regional situations that they have. So I'd prefer if the City of Quinte West ever considers going down that route, that we work out a deal with our more regional neighbors. Thanks.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to receive this report then, please? Mayor Harrison, seconded by Councillor Siddell. All those in favor? Passed. Thank you. The next staff report is from Melanie, Manager of Purchasing and Risk Management regarding the summary of the 2024 Insurance and Risk Management and 2025 Quarter 1 Insurance and Risk Plan Update.
Through you, Chair. It's just a basic summary to highlight the renewal that we had for 2025. Some of that was discussed at our last meeting again in December. Also, just to highlight our claims were down last year. In this first quarter, we were seeing a slightly higher amount than Q1 2024, which may not be too surprising considering the winter we've had. And then just wanted to give you a summary of where we're at working through our risk management plan this year. And
Thank you. Could I get a motion to have this report received? Councillor Quinte, seconded by Laurie Dennis. All those in favor? Passed. Thank you. The next staff report is on the City of Quinte West draft consolidated financial statements. Various resolutions for City of Quinte West consolidated statements as presented. Approve the 2024 Quinte West Draft Trust Fund financial statements. Approve the 2024 Quinte West Water and Wastewater Draft financial statements. Receive the 2024 Quinte West Public Library Draft financial statements. And receive the 2024 Downtown Business Improvement Area Draft financial statements. To Mayor Harrison?
yes.
seconded by Laurie Dennis. Any questions or comments on any of these financial statements? Councillor Quinte.
Thanks. Not having read every paragraph in here, but just a quick question to Director Denowden. Your comments on the working with the auditor, and anything jump out at you in regards to our the year-end results, and then one more comment after that.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, we had a good year with Wilkinson. Every year we see a few differences. They were very thorough this year. I have to say there were a lot of questions, and our staff were working late nights answering a lot of those questions. So, I mean, that's the work that our auditors are there to do, to investigate different areas. And as you heard Mr. Lay say, we were very cooperative, and they didn't find any kind of misstatements other than that one entry, which is, didn't require to be entered. So it's a great relationship we have. They come into the building during the audit as well. They look at papers and investigate and audit as much as they can. So it went smoothly. Maybe I'll pass it to Manager Hodge, maybe just to highlight some of the numbers that he saw that stuck out. Nothing surprising from my perspective. Everything, this is, of course, the accrual accounting version of our budget. Yeah, I'd say nothing that stuck out for me. I don't know, Mr. Hodge.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, we'll try to highlight again that the financial statement surplus deficit number, like it's a large number that shows on the financial statements of 26.8 million. I know it got picked up last year a bit that we had a big surplus, but this is different surplus than when we budget. The budget is the cash budget, where the financial statements are on the accrual method. So all those non-cash items have a large effect on the financial statements, but not on the tax levied budget amount. So the report kind of tries to summarize that. In the end, there was a small surplus for the city on a cash operating, like budget versus actual. There was in the operating side, winter control was under. There's a few other areas that were over, but it netted out to pretty much balance out. There's $100,000 surplus. On the water side, there was a surplus as well, and that was mostly due to the timing of debt payments. We had budgeted to have some debt payments, but we didn't take on the debt as soon as we thought. So we had a little bit of surplus there, which goes into the capital reserve. So when we do take the debt payments on, we'll have a little bit more capital reserve there ready for those wastewater debt payments.
And then my comment is thanks very much for getting this information done, because from my point of view, this is just basically a snapshot of the city's position at year end, and we use these documents to show our lenders and the province of Ontario and the federal government, who, if we're applying for funding of any sort, they ask to see this documentation because they want to make sure that we are a viable operation, and it's all part of a bigger process. So thank you so much, and because the very next day all of this stuff changes. My opinion. Thanks.
Councillor Siddell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've already raised this question, but just for the public's information, the cash surplus and how much it was and where it went and what it is in comparison to last year, if you can just summarize that for us, because it's a little bit different.
Through you, Chair. Yes, last year I believe we were about a $900,000 surplus. During this audit committee last year, there was a motion put forward to have that surplus put to a tax stabilization. So that's where part of it went. This year, the way it works between some of the departments, like building department has to come to zero, and certain departments, the insurance, if there is an over-under budget between budget and cash operating, there's reserve transfers done to balance out those areas. So there was a few of those entries done throughout the year-end process for the insurance for building coming in. Then within the operations, there was some areas that were under budget, such as the winter control. Then some areas that were over budget, like parks. And then there's just a few miscellaneous ups and downs that brought us to a $100,000 surplus for the year for 2024. That surplus, normally if the winter control area is under budget, whatever they're under budget, that goes to the winter control reserve. So this year would have been $900,000, but since we only had a $100,000 surplus, we did the $100,000 entry to winter control, and that brought us to a zero balanced budget.
Okay, and I guess just a follow-up question to that is, are we finding that the Public Works Reserve is high enough? Is that part of the reason that that one was targeted to put the money into? Is there concern with our past winter or anything that the reserve is getting too low?
Through your chair, no, the reserve has a healthy balance, and putting another $1 million would have been more than enough. So that's why the winter control reserve was just $100,000 to bring us to balanced budget.
But isn't that standard practice, just to put the additional that isn't used under winter control into the reserve?
Yes, there's a reserve policy also that we have. So if there's above and beyond, like if the surplus was more than winter control, and winter control was able to, we were able to do the full reserve transfer of $900,000, and we still had a surplus, then we have a reserve policy that states 50% goes to the capital levy, 25% goes to debt elimination, and the other 25 goes to special projects. So depends on the situation. This year we didn't reach that surplus amount that we needed to get into the surplus bylaw and follow the policy that we have for the surplus.
Thank you. Any other questions? A couple questions and comments from me. Like, I think it's great we're showing a $26.8 million surplus, but really the provincial and federal money and the assumed subdivisions add up to $22.8 million. And I don't believe we really budget for those amounts in there. And also we need to look at our debt levels are increasing, our reserve balances are decreasing, and they're projected to decrease even more. So although it shows a $26.8 million surplus, the overall lying financial situation isn't as good as what that makes it look. Would you be able to comment on that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we hear those themes around budget as well, the concern with the reserves, debt. And yeah, this surplus is a bit deceiving in that way, that those revenue sources are used to replace capital. Of course, our capital is depreciating every year. The roads depreciate every year, and we need to replace them. And so that surplus is really just increasing the balance sheet of assets. So I think it's $400 million, adding less than 10% to the value of those assets. And we know those assets are depreciating every year. So yeah, really, there's no surplus. That surplus doesn't end up in a bank account as cash. That is really all going into capital assets or assumed capital assets.
Thank you. And the other question is for the water and sewer, the receivable from Quinte West went from, or sorry, the amount owing to, the receivable from Quinte West went from 3 million to 7 million. So is there, because they're two separate entities, is there interest charged between the two? Because water and sewer is separate from city main.
Through your chair, yes, we have a spreadsheet that keeps track of all the balances, the money that is owed and due from, and there's interest based on the bank account rates earned and charged each way.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Siddell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in regards to the, I know you talked about the water financial statement, but the library financial statement, they had budgeted a deficit, an annual deficit. Sorry, it's on page 94 of the agenda. They budgeted a deficit of $114,000. They actually came in with a $149,000 surplus, and that's after the amortization was added in. So it just seems that, you know, I'm usually pretty good with numbers, but I can't quite understand how they could budget for a deficit and then come up with such a good surplus after the amortization is included.
Isn't that the opposite?
Looking at it, so, okay, so it's a larger deficit. They had
Yeah.
budgeted a surplus, sorry, it's backwards. Yes, you're right. So, but what happened? Like, is it just the amortization that's caused that? Were they able to live within the amount of money that was originally budgeted? There wasn't really a huge cash deficit? Doesn't matter, you can bring it back to me if you want to, that's fine. I just know that there was concern when we did their budget, is that they were going to be substantially short, and there was, I just want to make sure that there wasn't anything that came up. I know, sorry, I usually try to ask ahead of time.
That's the amortization.
Yeah, through you, Chair, we can take this offline and give you some more detailed information on, oh, Matt might actually have it right.
Through your chair, yes. So on the cash basis, the library was $30,000 surplus in the end. So cash operating, they were $30,000 that they were able to transfer to reserves at the end of the year based on cash budget versus budget and actual. They had a $30,000 surplus.
Would the difference be on the amortization? There was nothing budgeted for amortization, but the actual amortization was $304,000. So if you added those two together, you get pretty close to the surplus.
Through your chair, yes, I believe that would be the major difference, and maybe some capital purchases and the funding, anything that was non-cash items that weren't budgeted for would affect those, or the financial statement surplus numbers.
Thank you, Lori. Could I get a motion to approve these statements and the ones that are to be received, to receive them? Councillor Quinte, seconded by Lori Dennis. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you. The next is Staff Report 25004 from Matt Haas, Manager of Finance, and to receive the year-end debt balances as attached. Would you like to comment on that, Mr. Hodge?
Through your chair, yes. This report is every year is getting a little bit more complicated. So this year we've tried to expand it a little bit more on showing how we have the unfinanced, self-financed debt, and then the development charge debt, and then the non-DC debt. In general, our debt is increasing, and year over year is not a large increase. We took on some debt, but looking forward into the near future, there will be requirement for much more debt coming on in the next few years based on the capital projects that the city's committed to, both development charge debt and non-development charge debt.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Siddell?
No, just again, a comment that this is very helpful, so we give a clear picture as to where we're going. Also, a nice clear picture for any delegations we might have at AMO or something, just to show the amount of debt that we are going to incur, especially with regards to development charges, because I know that there was pushback about the level, and if this is where we're going, this is going to be hard to put on a tax base, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
Director Denhoughton.
Yeah, I'll just add just commentary that I will be coming back to council in the next couple of months with debt to take on from Infrastructure Ontario. We're just waiting for a couple of tenders to close to see what the dollar amounts are, and then we'll try to kind of get all those applications in at the same time. And so a lot of this will be coming to council in the next couple of months.
And I also like that you just didn't say what happened now, but you're telling what's going to be happening in the future. So everyone's aware the potential problems we're going to have in the future, and I thought it was a very good report too. Thank you. Could I get a motion to receive this report? Councillor Siddell, seconded by Councillor Quinte. All those in favor? Passed. Thank you. The next report is 25005 by Matt Hodge, Minister of Finance, regarding the 2024 year-end development charges.
Through your chair, yes. This one does tie back into the debt schedule as well, where our development charges have decreased. However, even though we're showing an $8.1 million development charge reserve balance, we also have $18.4 million in outstanding debt currently. So we didn't have enough development charge reserves available to pay for all development charge eligible projects. So we had to take on debt. And then once you look forward a few years, we have another $35 million in development charge eligible projects coming on that our 8.1 million is not sufficient. So we will be needing to take on more debt as well for these development charge projects. So in the end, our development charge reserve fund will be more based to make these debt payments that are coming forward, not to be able to fully pay for projects that are coming up that are DC eligible.
Thank you. What I also find frustrating is the province makes us waive development charges for something like the College Street School property. We not only have to waive them, but then we have to go turn around and make them up. So they're hitting us twice for something. Well, not just us, they're hitting the taxpayer that doesn't realize how this affects them and the municipality. Thank you. I don't care if it's not new, it's still not right. But thank you. Sorry, Councillor Quinte, go right ahead.
I just wanted to agree with you that in their efforts to reduce red tape, they fail to mention that they create a whole bunch of other different colors of tape. So green tape and black tape and white tape and pick your color tape. And the taxpayers are the ones that are scheduled to make it up. And then once we get that done, there's no, credit coming back to the city for getting this work done from the province of Ontario or the federal government to help us make that back up again. So it's very frustrating when we go to set our budget, everybody really concentrates on what the percentage of the tax increase will be. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? And that's what they concentrate on. And somehow that gets to be swung around the community as though it's a bad thing, when it isn't a bad thing, because we will be helping others. We'll be helping our other neighbors out with housing projects or roads or facilities to so that these same people who are going to be paying the property taxes will be able to enjoy the investment that we as a council are putting back into the community. I just wish that the province of Ontario and the federal government would make it easier. Now I understand they have their own challenges with providing health care, for one, from the province of Ontario, and federal government in working with the United States and their president, who just managed to squeak through his 100 days in office, causing all kinds of turmoil. But the Quinte West and Mayor Harrison and all the rest of the council, we're trying to do the best we can with all of the things coming our way and trying to help people out wherever we can. Anyways, I just wanted to agree with you, Councillor O'Neill. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So could we get a motion to receive this report? Councillor Siddell, seconded by Mayor Harrison. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you. The next is the year-end, 2024 year-end consolidated reserve and reserve fund report. Who would like to comment on that?
Through you, Chair, yes. The reserve report is also similar to the last few reports where the number initially does look large, that we have an $82 million reserve balance when you include reserves and reserve funds. But when you look at how much of those reserves are already committed to, either future projects, capital projects, or past projects that haven't been completed, our uncommitted reserve balance is decreasing and is getting very tight in case of emergencies or new projects that come up. So it is kind of the same theme that it looks like a large number initially, but when you dig into it, there's not a lot of uncommitted reserve funds available for the city.
Well, when it stuck out at me when you said over half the reserve funds are committed in 2025 alone. Like, that's really scary as far as I'm concerned.
Through you, Chair, yes. And part of it is just the way we do our reserve funds. So the OCIF and our gas tax, we receive the money and then we always fully commit to use 100% of the gas tax and OCF money that we receive. So it does look like a big balance, but as soon as we've got it, we've committed it to 2025 capital projects. So it makes for a large committed balance.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Quinte.
Yeah, thanks. And can you comment on the amount of the OCIF funds and the gas tax in compared to what they were in 2023 to what they were in 2024, by the way? They weren't the same number? They were smaller numbers.
While they're looking that up, just take the water line from Dug Hill Road to the plant. That's estimated at $35 million. We received a grant from the province, which is less than 40% of that project. So that means we've got to come up with, we've got to borrow money to complete that project. That's exactly what it's telling us. So, and that's a consistent, unfortunately, the consistent message we've been receiving from both the federal and provincial government, that the taxpayers are on the hook for a number of projects that we have to do in order to build houses. There's no way we can build without the water and without having it in where it needs to be. So that's what we're up against, and that puts another rate of debt on our residents around the city of Quinte West. So thank you.
So just following up on like CCBF, which was the federal gas tax, it has gone up steadily every year. So we did receive more money in 2024 than we did in 2023. Is that the question?
That was one. What about the OCIF? What about the OCIF funds? I thought that was a smaller number as well. So you're saying the federal gas tax is a bit slightly bigger number?
That is correct.
Okay.
The OCIF, we did see a decrease, I believe it was 2023, then we saw an increase in 2024, a significant increase. So we're still below where we were in 2022, I believe, but Yeah. So that would say, yeah, long-term, we are below where we were in 2022.
And so my understanding is, because the other thing that we're working on is the asset management plan. And my understanding is once we finalize the asset management plan in the next couple months, that's going to be tied to provincial funding coming forward as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of a tie in there. So right now, the OSIF is calculated on current replacement value of the city's assets. And asset management planning has helped us hone in on the current replacement value of our asset, a better, more accurate picture that we've done. We've done facility assessments, we've done road assessments, and so we know what the value of our assets are. And that's what really drove the increase from 2024 to 2025 when we updated some of those values. And so again, we will be submitting that CRV. It's separate from the asset management plan, but it is linked in terms of the same departments working on it. And we'll be submitting those numbers here shortly, and that will drive the amount of OSIF we receive in 2026.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
So then the other thing is when we're talking about the asset management plan, in the back to the insurance report, it was mentioned in there that our broker and our insurance company are going to be going through our assets, like facility assets specifically, in the coming years, and they may determine a different replacement value. So I guess one of my questions back to you, Director Denowden, is, for example, say we have the arena. I don't really know what the value of the arena is, so I just pick any building and say it's $10 million and it's on our books now, and the insurance company comes back and says, no, it's 18 million. How would the city look at replacement values for our facilities if the insurance inspection says one thing and we currently have it on our books as a different number?
Yeah, so we did have a facility appraisal done with several lenses, one of asset maintenance and asset management, and also for insurance appraised value. And so my understanding is it could be different numbers, but not significantly different. And the insurance amount will drive the insurance premiums.
Well, that's true. But as far as the asset management and our valuations, not necessarily that's going to change anything there.
No, that's right. Because of the lens through asset management looks at the components of the building, what it might cost to replace individual components as opposed to the kind of market value of the building. So there could be small variances there.
That is correct. Market value plays a big role because the insurance just does the building, whereas market value includes the building, facility, the lands around it, and all that sort of thing. Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Siddell?
Just one, it's a small amount, but the POA revenue was 150,000 higher than what was in the budget. Is there, what was the reason for that? Did we change our lines or?
Through your chair, so the POA is administered by Hastings County, and one of the member municipalities has instituted speeding cameras, and that's paid for a lot of the administrative costs, and we've been a benefactor of some of the recalculations there.
We've also been a benefactor of some of the tickets in Quinte West, too.
Reasonable tickets.
I don't know if I go that far with you. Can I get a motion to receive this report? Councillor Quinte, seconded by Mayor Harrison. All those in favor? Passed. Thank
And
you.
I haven't received a photo ticket yet. Yet.
Brag.
The next
Where do you live? I'll just put the word out for you.
I live in Quinte West, and we don't have any photo cameras on the roads of Quinte West.
is staff report 25007 regarding the 2024 investment results. Could I get a resolution to accept that?
Certainly.
First by Mayor Harrison, seconded by Councillor Quinte. Any questions or comments? Councillor Siddell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Its comment is just really good to see the interest rates are actually helping us in some respect, even though this is, my understanding, it's all reinvested, so it's going to help us in the long term with some of our capital and hopefully maybe our debt. But it is at least a good news story this year, so that's good.
Well, the interest rates have gone down now, unfortunately. But I would like to make a comment too, that the report's been significantly bettered than it was before. It now includes consolidated returns, and it's much better than it was before, and I'm glad to see they've made the improvements that we requested. So could I get a motion to receive this report? Councillor Quinte, seconded by Councillor Siddell. All those in favor? Passed. New other business. Anyone have any questions? Councillor Quinte.
Yeah, I'm concerned with our computer internet issues. And last month at the council meeting, there was a report that came forward. And I'd just like staff to consider when it comes to our computer issues and our internet issues that we keep that information very limited, just to let people know that, okay, well, we have a computer and that's all we're going to say. So I'm just throwing that out there. We need to protect our systems, and I know we do, but we also need to be wary that other people are watching. And I just wanted staff to reconsider about how they present reports regarding our computers and our computer systems. Thanks.
Councillor.
Yeah, through the chair, we don't have the IT group on this committee, but we are audit and risk, and I can definitely work with our risk team just to maybe do a little review of our cyber coverage and what that means for our team in terms of divulging certain information. So yeah, we can try to help follow up on that.
Our broker may have some suggestions as they work with municipalities all across the country, and they may have some suggestions on how we can best handle that.
Thank you. And Councillor Siddell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councillor Quinte, for reminding me about that question. Is the software. So my understanding is that Great Plains is going to be no longer being supported after 2028, and I'm just wondering what the plan is. Is there going to, have you got some kind of an idea where you're going, or what because I understand it's a lot of money. It'll be a lot of money.
Yeah, through chair, we had a plan in the budget to kind of look at this as a major goal. We know we're kind of struggling with staffing in terms of accomplishing many of the other goals, asset management plan, and that kind of thing. So we're going to try to present something as part of the 2026 budget, but it's a big thing to chew off an ERP system. It's very costly, and so yeah, we're looking at a high level right now what we can present for 2026 budget for that.
Follow up. So yeah, a lot of municipalities are dealing with that, and because of the time frame, you kind of have to get in the queue if you're going to be switching over. So, but I like if we do pre-plan and start to put some money aside, even if it doesn't happen until 27 or 28. But yeah, I agree. It's a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of staff time to get it updated. So it's something to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have one. The federal government got rid of the federal gas tax. Is that going to be a significant savings to the city of Quinte West? If you could look into that, I know I just thought of it out of the blue, but I know you did some calculations that cost Quinte West $750,000, and we weren't reimbursed anything for it. So I'm glad that that's been canceled.
Through you, Chair, just to confirm, it's the carbon tax on the, yes, because the federal gas tax was renamed CCBF. That's still in place. The carbon tax, which came off there, you're correct. It's reduced our price to purchase fuel, and we haven't calculated the effect on this year because I don't know if it's staying off now for the rest of the year. But yeah, we can look into that a bit more.
That'd be great. Thank you. Any other questions? Or I need a motion to adjourn. Mayor Harrison. Is that, I'll probably get a seconder. Laurie Dennis for the seconder. All
I'll
those
empty
in
my
favor?
pockets right now so I don't take any cash.
Approved.